Thank you, Rachid, for the keynote. Please do have a seat. Our next session is a panel discussion on adapting the travel sector to connected consumer. This panel tackles the technology trends that are impacting the travel and tourism sector, the new opportunities arising as a result, and the tools that are being used to derive business and efficiency. Please, let's all welcome the panelists to join Rachid again to the stage.
That is fine. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So we shall start. I'm going to ask everyone to, but I think best is that everybody introduces themselves. So shall we start?
Wonderful, yes. I'm Dagmar Symes. I'm the general manager of the Phoenicia Hotel and Le Vendôme.
Hi. My name is Bagul. I head the Middle East operations for Cleartrip.com. So just a quick introduction. Cleartrip is one of the largest online travel company in India and now in Middle East as well. We've been in Middle East for last 5-6 years now. Started, kind of having office in Dubai, and now in pretty much all the GCC countries we have operations. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, my name is Elie Diab. I work for Nakhal, the tour operator and travel agency in Lebanon, and for Hoojoozat.com, the online hotel provider, and for Travel Systems, the company that is specialized in online reservation systems for the travel industry.
Great. So welcome all. So I'm going to be I'm going to cheat a bit here and start off by saying that because of my interest in the design in the design world and the built environment, and because we talked a lot about technology throughout this, I'd like to kick us off by asking the question about how do you make sure, or how do you sort of ride that fine line between offering personal experience for everybody, for all of your customers, while at the same hand introducing all of these technologies and standardization, and so I've always been fascinated in that for reasons that I think are a bit obvious now. So
that is obviously a question for the hotel expert. No, I think you rightfully point out a very sensitive subject. Whilst we have to be absolutely on the speed and in the trend for new technologies, I think that hospitality as a business as such is extremely human, it's extremely personalized. And to combine these two features, whilst hospitality on top is a very traditional business, it has not evolved in times in a big thing. There are no huge inventions in our industry. We basically use technology far more in the booking channels, in in-room features. I mean, you pointed out initially a very nice presentation where technology takes place. It's in the room. Yet, it is contradictory also towards our guest and final consumer, because we are living in a world that dictates more and more personalized service, because our guests are looking for a true experience, and that is not a standardized mass operation. It is really tailored to your specific needs. So I'm using my colleagues on the left, for you on the right, a lot for booking channels and communication, but less for the service as such, despite it's part of the service.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, from my perspective, there's a huge gap right now in terms of what the consumers demand and what the industry is actually providing. Okay, and I'm saying that because I've been in this industry for almost last 9-10 years now. Obviously, we have done a lot of things in improving the kind of customer experience, because we ourselves kind of believe that we have to put customer, right, or other product at the center of everything, and then build the customer experience on top of this. And that's some of the unique or the USP that we had in the market, or we have in the market. But having said that, there are a lot of challenges that are needed to be solved in order to provide that experience to the customers today. And travel industry is an extremely complex industry, and I can talk about primarily from the air perspective because we are one of the largest air travel agent in the region. And the way the technology is built over a period of time, right, it still does not allow customers to seamlessly, research, book, and consume, the flight ticket bookings, right? So those are the challenges we are talking about. That's why I think, we believe that over the next, the next 5 years, I think the real personalization probably will start. I mean, what is personalization? I think consumers today require a lot of things, and there are certain industries, specifically whether it's social media or a bunch of other kind of consumer-oriented industries have kind of gone ahead. But personalization, in my experience, is extremely tough and expensive to build. Right? I mean, we obviously are seeing things like on net, just the kind of recommendation engine, whether it's Netflix or IMDb or iTunes and stuff like that. But beyond that, there's not really much happened in terms of really driving that the user experience and matching what the customer really needs. I mean, right? I mean, when you come to the travel sector, right? I mean, we look at travel sector in the kind of a triangle where the research is at one end, the transaction, which is the bookings, on the other end, and the post booking or the sharing is on the third end, right? All of these three things are actually operating in isolation. Okay, I mean, we've been trying to really integrate these experiences, right? But because the way they are built, the systems and the processes, right, and the technology platforms available, it's extremely difficult to build that. And unless until these three things you combine, which is the travel research, like how you book a ticket, how you figure out where you want to travel next, right? What's the best budget holiday or things like that, right? And how do you basically actually start consuming that content, right? Rather than which is basically booking that hotel, booking that air, and then the post-booking experiences, right? So I mean, from the customer perspective, there are a lot of expectations. Like after I book my ticket, for example, right? How do I go and amend if I need to, right? How do I buy ancillary, right? So whether it is seat, baggage, like Wi-Fi, whatever it is, right? So things like that. So I think in my mind, all of these three things really are working in isolation. We need to really combine this in an experience which will basically enhance the overall, booking experience for the customers. And on top of that, use a lot of user data to build personalization, right? Which is, I think, still probably a couple of years behind in my mind. Of course, technologies like AI and everybody's talking about it. Some of these will start solving these problems, but I think it is still a couple of years away in my mind, right, to start. I mean, this is the conversations we used to have 5 years ago, and frankly speaking, nothing major, technology change that has happened in the last 5 years, right? I mean, that's where the opportunity lies. But
so Elie, from your point of view, I'm curious because I think you occupy a bit of a sort of a niche in between in the moment, right?
Exactly.
So what's your
because like we come from a background like we were like a traditional travel agency and tour operator like since very long time ago, established in the region. And then like 10 years ago, we decided to move a little bit online. So we created Hoojoozat.com, which is supposed to sell travel services online for both travel agents and users. So practically we live both worlds every day. And we realized that everyone needs to have like a personalized service. So even when we make advertisements and we try to do a lot of marketing for the online side, still everyone tries to call us and ask for advices on a personal level, like they need someone to help them. Even if they found the best price and the best product that they want to book, still like they call and they seek advices and they seek help and they feel much more comfortable. The fact that they can call us anytime or they can call anyone anytime and then book online at the same time. So practically, yeah, everything needs to be personalized, and even with the technology, and no matter how this technology is smart and no matter how much artificial intelligence we might put in any technology, still like consumers, they're interested in having like a human interaction, support, someone they can talk to, understand them. And if they have a problem for a reason or another, they don't need just a machine, an algorithm to where they can pick the reason they are calling or like whatever their request is, and then the machine can see the results and decide whether, let's say, to waive a charge or to charge or something. Because everyone is different and everyone has different needs and different expectations. So this is why we merge both worlds every day. So we do have like the human interaction with our clients and the online side, or like the technology where they can book flights, or the flights of our company, like the charter flights that we and the packages that we have. So yeah, this is, and what we try to do is like we try to collect as much data and information about our clients in order to target them again and again in a personalized way, so they can feel whatever message that is being sent, it's like it touches them and it's like meant for them based on their preferences and what they're interested in. So this is what happens with us on regarding the personalized service and the technology side. So yeah.
Great. So how and what's the what's your outlook? I'm curious because
Excuse me?
What's your outlook for you know, if I may sort of split these two businesses for a second.
Yeah.
What's your outlook, particularly for the future? Because I mean, I imagine it varies from country to country, obviously.
Yeah. Exactly. So like we're talking here about like people like doing the online thing, or like people like doing the traditional stuff. So exactly, like day by day, like I'm gonna talk here in Lebanon, because like when we first started like 10 years ago, like people were like very hesitant in Lebanon to book online. So however, right now like everyone's booking and buying stuff online and paying bills online and everything. So the trend is much more interesting. However, what we believe in, or what we see, like there is like the niche market for the people who want to book online. Some people want to book online, but some other people, like they always want to go to a travel agent. They always want to go to the hotel, maybe to a tour operator, and just like do the package with someone who has the knowledge, who has the experience, like where to go, where to stay, and all those stuff. And eventually, again, making the reservation for them, because one time, like because a lot of people experienced they had bad experiences while booking online, because they go to a hotel and they don't like it. They go to a hotel, they have some problems with the services that they bought. And whenever like you're booking online, even if you have like the best call center in the world, even if you have the best support in the world, it's different than calling the same person that made you the reservation and telling him, hey, I have a problem, I don't like my room, or like they did not give me what I was supposed to have. So he just like, they're gonna call him and try to fix the situation for them, and then when they get back, they're gonna sit together over a coffee and talk about it and probably compensate or like offer something in return. So this interaction and this feeling is very important for some people, actually more important than doing it themselves, like searching for the hotel, reading reviews, searching for the flight, the best timing. They need someone to handle that part for them, for security, for safety, and more importantly for the experience. Especially that we all know that online reviews, they're not always accurate, like because they're influenced by lots of factors, such as a young couple in France, they go to a hotel, they're gonna rate it as like the best hotel in the world, amazing location, and the staff was extremely friendly and everything. However, for a couple from Lebanon, let's say, I'm gonna say, they go to the same hotel, they're gonna say it's a very bad hotel, the location is far from center. Why it is far? Because first of all, they're not used to walk. Second, they don't have their car, because usually people in Europe, when they go on vacation, they take their car, they drive, so they can find a hotel, a good location, a very well located hotel could be far from center, but for them it's perfect location, and so on. And people from Lebanon or the Middle East in general, they expect like high standards of service. Even for the young people, Lebanese people, they do expect high level of service, which is different than the expectations of Europeans. So therefore, like even when someone is being very honest about his review, he does not share with me the same culture. So his expectations, they're different than my expectations. So one of the reasons I might go to the traditional travel agent again is because that person who is making my reservation, first of all, probably knows me because like I traveled with her before or with him. And then they know what I like, what I do not like. They had lots of reviews from people who went to a certain hotel or a certain destination and came back and told their story. So they have the knowledge right now. So that's why I might trust, and I might consider better what they might be telling me to do. So that's it.
So, oh, sorry.
No, because that is nice to see that we have absolute similarity in that
Yeah.
field. Because we're dealing really with an international market, so expectations and also the technology knowledge is very different. At the same time, you have to cover all generations. You know, if you talk tech savvy, we would link it more to the younger generation, whilst we really cover all market segments. And the elder generation would always tend to be more traditional, trying to find a human approach rather than really technology.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a reliability issue as well. You tend sometimes maybe not to believe that the technology is as reliable in the input and outcome at the end as a personalized interaction. That would lead you maybe also to use different channels. But basically it's exactly the copy-paste scenario.
Yeah.
I fully agree. And I think we are in a true transition phase as well, because we always spoke about the millenniums. Now the millenniums have already the post generation, the Z generation, which will be our future guest. So I think within the upcoming 10 years, you will see a major shift in the consumer behavior, but we are not yet there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one thing that you've mentioned, I think you've sort of touched on as well a bit. The cultural aspect of this obviously plays, culture play a big role in this, and being in the Middle East, different cultures, and we have some technologies that we are importing, so on and so forth. How can technology sort of coexist and be sort of a force of a facilitation of, so for example, you mentioned, to be specific, you mentioned the reviews, a couple from Lebanon versus a couple from Paris, different experience. I mean, I imagine in today's technology, there surely is a way to sort of mine that data to also be able to get some of that feedback, and it does not necessarily have to be competing with the human experience. I'm just saying that, can we, are you seeing that there's that kind of data mining that's taking place in the industry that will actually even enable hotels or enable travel agents to kind of go that step further?
Yeah.
And
I believe like eventually when we have like, when the artificial intelligence that everyone's like investing in right now is smart enough and capable of like taking all those information and all those reviews and all those experiences, pictures and videos, reading them all together and putting them, compile them in probably one sentence or like a small text that can explain and reflect the reality of a certain destination, hotel or service or whatever it is, and then make it compatible with the cultural background of the person who is reading it, like to take into consideration who is reading that review. Once we arrive to that, and we will arrive to that, until now, like we can take 50% of what we might see online, 60, 70, 80, 90%, but we're never going to be able to believe the 100% of what we're reading in terms of reviews and planning for the travel and like the reservation, and not the reservation, but the whole thing that comes before reservation. So yeah, one day we will be able to do it, and many companies right now are doing them. And they do sell that service, and they are very good at it. Like they do compile everything and put it like in one package. But still, again, that it's not enough for everyone, and we do not trust that information yet enough to take it and based on that information to make that to make the decision of booking or not booking, going or not going. So eventually, yes, we will get there. Right now, many people still want to be sure 100% before they make the step of booking something.
So maybe just to add as well, I personally do not believe anymore in any TripAdvisor reviews and this kind of approach, because there are too many examples, not only what you pointed out, different perceptions of clients and guests, but also falsifying, literally, to damage competition and others' reviews. So it can be an indicator, for sure, given the amount maybe of feedback collected, but it's not a reliable resource anymore. And the trend clearly demonstrates in social media as well that you are rather believing your peers on experiences in various fields. So all the Facebook, Twitter, whatever is out there in the market is a far more reliable personal approach of feedback collection rather than really the platforms that truly exist. Because you're far more likely to go to the place because your friend told you the experience was amazing.
Exactly.
It's your friend, you trust, you know. But if you go to the other place and you're a third party, it's a different approach.
Exactly.
So I think the trend really goes totally away from these, let's call it even judgmental platforms, into personalized social media peer reviews that you really grab on the long term.
100%. Like a lot of companies, even like whenever they want to do some kind of marketing and stuff, like using the social media. That's why like lots of people, what they call them now, influencers or like market leaders or whatever it is, they use people with influence to try. And this is something that we do actually, like to advertise some packages and some stuff. So what we do is like we try to have people that are like interesting enough, like to be like influencers for others, and then so people can see like this person was at this hotel or at that restaurant and stuff, so next time I have to try the same thing that he tried it, after like reviewing it live with pictures and like personal experience. And this is someone I trust, I look up to, someone I like to be like him probably for a reason or another. So yeah, exactly. So social marketing and stuff like that, they are like one of the main drivers now and for the near future whenever it comes to making choices and decisions of purchasing travel services or any service or product in general, but since we're talking about travel, like to be specific, travel services.
And I would truly also challenge the influencers and bloggers, because even that is shifting already, yet we are using it as well, especially in the F&B field, because this is where you have the most. But the consumer knows already that influencers and bloggers are also paid for their actions. So it becomes again a relative thing. I think at the end it's really your peers who will dictate the feedback, if it's reliable or honest. Yeah.
What one point you made is that a lot of this information is now available, right? And it's only I think a couple of quarters ago where people started harnessing this information. As the AI technology started becoming a lot more popular and usable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff that we're working on right now, I think we're still a little behind, but yes, in terms of using all this various information about the customer, right? I think for the personalization, I mean, the basic concept is that you should know your customer. And, until now, because of the challenges of the technology, we were not really understanding who's a customer. Look at airlines. Airlines still consider us as a passenger, not customer, right? I mean, it has to change. Same thing for companies like us, which are into helping customers booking their travel, should know who's our customer, what does he need, right? And when he or she comes to our site, I mean, do we really know her preferences, right? And things like that. And how do we build this technology? So, I mean, we have taken a kind of a stand wherein instead of actually going in the front end, right now we're going in the back end in terms of post-booking experience. How can we help the customer? So kind of the chatbot basically helps customers to kind of go through that journey that, okay, hey, your travel is coming up. Have you kind of checked in online? Okay, do you want to check in online? And then you just say yes, and it goes and checks in online. It interacts with the customer saying that, okay, you prefer a window seat or aisle seat, okay, and things like that. And you basically go and integrate. I mean, obviously you need a ton of systems and technology platforms behind to do all these things, which is only possible now, when airlines have actually, or suppliers have kind of invested millions of dollars in building that technology. right, which was not available a couple of years ago. So I think that's what is changing, and we believe that the AI kind of revolution is just right now beginning, and yeah, I think the future will basically help customer really, kind of feel that importance, right, in the entire ecosystem, in terms of, not only figuring out where is my next holiday, but also where is the best possible place to buy more efficiently, cost effective, right, and also kind of get those benefits post the transaction. Yeah.
So I'm cautious of time. I think we have another 2 minutes. Sort of last question maybe for all of you is, where do you think the industry is in terms of technology? Like, where do you see that we are in the moment? So maybe we'll start with you.
I think hospitality has a big, big space for improvement. We are clearly not there, if you talk proper technology implementation, you usually, with new buildings, you have this opportunity to integrate it immediately. Rather, in old hotels, it's a huge investment. And I think the financial impact on its own is already literally mutually exclusive towards advancing in technology. I think in the part of communication, it is very strong, because this is something that is implemented, and communication, it doesn't matter if it's over social media, if it's the website, it is booking channels, which is the biggest part, I would guess, and the most important one, to have this international exposure. This is where it is widely used. Yet I do not believe that it will advance in such a pace, because our business is simply too traditional. It's service linked, which is personalized, and people, especially the technology, is getting so much in our daily life, and we are all so in a speeding up life, time is flying, we all have 2 phones, and we are running day and night. People want to simply, if you talk then tourism and hotels, and they want to back off a little bit, and they want to really have personalized attention. So I think in our business it will take huge time to really find its place, and that's the younger generation who will dictate the pace, actually, and we are in this transition phase I mentioned before.
Yeah. So so basically the way we think is that if you look at in the last 10 years or so, and you look at all the online travel booking sites, whether it is Kayak or Expedia or Cleartrip, right? The basic booking experiences remain exactly the same. You basically search where you want to go from, to put your dates, get your listing, you book, okay. But essentially, and the same thing goes with the airline.com, their own websites as well. What are people booking? People are booking the basic, low cost, non-complicated tickets, right? But people want to book a lot more complex stuff, right? And airlines also want to basically sell so that they can increase their revenue over a period of time, right? And that's what started happening. And this process started 10 years ago when IATA, basically, I'm going a little technical here, but IATA actually started something called NDC, called New Development Capability, which enabled airlines to take control. The objective was to take control of the customer there, right? So that they can basically then start kind of fragmenting the entire, the products. So now you see that, right? You basically see a kind of a or rather non-bundled products, right? You book a seat, you book a ticket, then you go and book a seat, then you buy a baggage, then you buy a meal, and things like that, right? So airlines wanted to have that kind of control over a period of time with the customer. So only now these technologies are kind of becoming available, right, after 5-6 years. So yeah, I mean, what Dagmar is saying is right. I mean, we are still way behind, but I think over the next 5 to 6 years, I mean, there were steps, right? We saw a big, growth on mobile. I mean, as mobile started growing, right? All of us went back to mobile, and we started mobile as early as 2010. Today, close to 70-80% of our bookings are happening on mobile, so which is great. We all know the mobile is the most personalized tool, but how much have we really done in terms of personalization, right? I think we have just scratched the surface. So I think the amount of opportunity for innovation is huge. Customers have already moved on. As I said, 70-80% transaction happening on mobile means customers are already, adopted a channel. I think that's where a lot of innovation is going to happen over the next 5 years.
And
Yep.
Elie?
So practically like the travel industry was like one of the first, like the early adopters of technology, because after the military, because like the GDSs, the systems that allow you to book air tickets. So they were like so technologically advanced at that time, because they would allow like a travel agent to make a reservation real time based on the inventory and the availability and the prices, the complex prices of different airlines, and to make complex stuff. And that's, we're talking about this, we're talking in the 60s. So it's like the travel industry has always been ahead. However, like the main technological advancement that would happen right now is related to the distribution, sales, and most importantly, the same topic that we were talking about earlier. Just like to make it much easier for the client to make the reservation based on what the client wants, and doesn't have even to make the search, I want to go to Paris from this time to that time. Eventually, like complex intelligent systems would know that the client takes his vacation, let's say, or like the person would take his vacation on those dates because he has vacation and he has that much amount of money in his bank, and this is his budget for a vacation. And the system by itself would be able, not the system, or like any system should be able to suggest a vacation for that person based on where he wants to go, where he has never been before, how much money he has, who he might be going with, and all those stuff. And eventually get him the best rate based from different suppliers and different airlines and different everything, and be able to make that reservation. So lots of technological advancement still needs to be done on different levels. And one day we will be here, because lots of investments on those levels, on this level, happens every day. So in terms of, let's say, distribution and marketing and reservation and stuff like that in the travel industry, yes, we will be there one day. And however, like lots of other parts, like she was talking earlier, like regarding the hotels, and still a lot needs to be done, because that's a lot of money and a lot of competition and lots of reasons and lots of factors play on this level. So yeah, on that part, still we should be doing even more on that. However, on the other side, a lot is being done every day.
Great.
Right?
Thank you all. Thanks
Thank you.
for the panel, and thank you.
Thank you.